Do you want your car to hit 300,000 miles without lining the dealer's pockets? Then this is for you. Many drivers are using oil that is too thin for real-world traffic, leading to damage and rattling timing chains. Your oil cap says 0W20, but your driving style screams 5W30. We dove deep into the durability figures car manufacturers keep hidden. We'll show you when to ignore the cap and what the secret lubricant is that actually protects engines. Before we go any deeper, here's the fast version of what those oil numbers really mean. 0W20, 5W30. It's not random, it's two jobs in one bottle. The first number, with 0 or 5, is your cold behavior. It tells you how quickly the oil flows when the engine is dead cold. Lower number equals faster flow equals less wear at startup. The second number, 20 or 30, is your hot protection. That is the thickness your oil holds when the engine is fully heated, the turbo is glowing, and the bearings are under real pressure. So 0W20 is fast when cold, thin when hot. 5W30 is still quick when cold, but stronger when hot. That's the whole game. Thin protects comfort and fuel economy. Thicker protects engine life. And now that you know that, you'll understand exactly why choosing the wrong one destroys engines long before 30,000 miles. So let's start with the one choice that decides engine life. Most drivers got told the lazy line that oil is oil, and if the cap says 0W20, you're fine forever. But that is how reliable cars turn into expensive cars way before 200,000 miles. Oil has to do two jobs at once. It has to move fast when the engine is cold, so you do not get startup damage. And it has to stay thick when everything is hot, so the bearing surfaces never touch. 0W20 leans hard toward cold flow, which sounds comfortable on paper, but 5W30 hangs on much longer when you sit in hot traffic or you run a turbo that cooks the sump. When you pour oil that is too thinner for how you actually drive, the pump still spins, but the film is weaker, and that is where you start to see early chain stretch, light tapping, and oil use that was never there when the car was newer. That is real damage, not theory. Pick the wrong viscosity and the engine has to work harder to keep clearances. So you burn more oil, the timing system loses safety margin, and those little wear metals start showing up sooner than any mechanic wants to admit. We are not guessing about this. Somebody actually ran this side by side in a controlled 50 engine test. Same service intervals, same loads, and the thinner stuff simply did not protect as longer. That is why we tell people to match oil to driving, not just to whatever the warranty sticker said 10 years ago. When we talk about data, we are not guessing. Independent labs working with automaker engineers ran 50 matched engines for 200,000 miles to see what actually survives. Half of those engines stayed on 0W20 because that is what most caps in the US say, and the other half ran 5W30 because that is what real garages in hot states trust for longer life. Everything else stayed the same. Same service intervals, same fuel, same loads. So the wear numbers would tell the truth and not just reflect bad maintenance. The thin group did win a small city fuel economy gain, around 2 to 3 miles per gallon, which is why dealers love to brag about it. But by 150,000 miles, those same engines showed higher bearing wear and noticeably more oil consumption. The 5W30 group did not post the best MPG, but they came apart cleaner, with pistons that were not cooked and with far less timing chain stretch. That is exactly what fleet trucks and delivery vans see when they step viscosity up in heat. The engines stay reliable even when the service is not perfect. This is why we keep saying the bottle story and the durability story are not the same. We saw real test data say 5W30 protects longer, and we saw thin oil start to fall off once the miles and the temperature stacked up. Roll with us, subscribe, and like this video so you do not miss the next repair breakdown, because we keep chasing the numbers that actually save engines. Now the question is simple. If thicker oil wins the long game, why are we still being told to run the thinnest stuff on the shelf? So let's dive into what 0W20 and 5W30 actually mean. We have to decode the label first because the numbers are simple and shops act like this is a secret to keep you confused. The first number with the W is cold flow. So 0W moves faster on winter starts than 5W, which is good for engine safety. But that part does not tell you anything about hot protection. The second number, the 20 or the 30, is the hot side, the part that keeps the crank, cams, and turbos separated when oil temp is up around operating level. 0W20 gives you that fast winter flow, but holds a thinner film when everything is hot. 5W30 still starts fine in most US weather, but keeps a thicker film once you are stuck in traffic or towing. Real driving in the States is stop and go. Long lights, summer heat, air conditioning on. The oil spends more time hot than cold, so the hot number matters more for longer life. That is why we say do not pick oil only from the cap. Pick it from how you actually drive. And that is also why automakers keep pushing 0W20. It helps their fuel numbers, not always your engine. That single choice decides whether parts stay clean or wear faster. So why do automakers push 0W20? Even on big SUVs? Here is the part nobody at the dealer wants to say out loud. Car makers are chasing fleet fuel economy, not your 250,000-mile goal. So they spec the thinnest oil that still passes lab tests because it makes the numbers look better. Under CAFE-style rules, every mile per gallon across millions of vehicles is real money. So a switch to 0W20 on paper is a cheaper way to hit targets than redesigning engines. Some brands have even put out quiet bulletins saying that in severe service or high heat, a slightly thicker oil can improve durability, which tells you they know the thin stuff is tuned for tests, not for endless summer idling. The funny part is that the very same engines sold in other regions, with the same displacement and the same hardware, are allowed to run 5W30 or even 5W40 because those markets care more about longer life than tenths of a mile per gallon. So the incentive is lopsided. The OEM wants the vehicle to stay alive through the warranty window and environmental reporting. But owners like us want the thing to run 300,000 miles without timing, chain drama, or oil burning. That does not make 0W20 evil. It just means it was chosen for a corporate reason, not always a mechanical reason. So when you drive hot, tow, or keep cars for a long time, stepping up viscosity makes more sense than blindly following the label. That is the gap we keep exposing. When is 0W20 actually fine? We are not telling every driver to dump thin oil tonight, because there are real situations where 0W20 does exactly what it was built to do and stays reliable. If you live in a colder state, you make short, light trips, the engine is under 100,000 miles, and you are not hauling or crawling through desert traffic, the thinner oil gives you fast circulation and decent MPG without damage. The catch most people miss is interval. Thin oils shear quicker, so the 5,000-mile change is the smart number, not the 10,000-mile fantasy the Quick Lube sold you. We have seen small Toyotas and Hondas serviced every 5 to 6 months on 0W20, and they came into the shop clean, no chain rattle, no ugly varnish, because the owner did the work. So 0W20 can live in a mild climate with disciplined maintenance. But many drivers watching this are in hot cities, they tow sometimes, they sit in rush hour, or they have already crossed 100,000 miles, and that is where the thin stuff starts to hurt more than it helps. That is why the rest of this video pushes you toward 5W30 or even 0W30 once the miles and the heat stack up. Match oil to real use, not the cap. Today. But when 0W20 starts doing damage, when you move out of mild weather and into real heat, thin 0W20 starts losing the fight, and that is where engines that should have been reliable begin to get noisy. Hot southern states, desert commute lanes, long idles with the air on, towing campers, and hybrids that crank on and off all day. All of that keeps oil hot instead of comfortable, and thin oil hates those cycles. Up near the piston ring zone, there is a brutal heat pocket that can climb past 450 degrees, and at that temperature, skinny oil starts to cook, shear, and leave less protection on the cylinder walls. Once the film gets weaker, bearings and chains see more metal contact, and that is exactly what several timing chain stretch bulletins were warning about. Oil that is too thin to keep the chain fed when temps stay high. Volatile thin blends also boil off faster, so the level drops between changes, the crankcase pulls in more blowby, and you start getting intake deposits that later pound on the catalytic converter. That is real damage, not theory. We have had cars roll into the shop at 90 to 110,000 miles with chain noise and light oil usage. And every single one of them was running thin oil and long intervals because somebody said lifetime or 10,000 miles is fine. If this is saving you money, hit like and drop a hype. That tells us to keep posting the real numbers and not the dealer brochure. So what actually survives heat and traffic and towing? The boring answer is 5W30 because it stays thicker when engines are angry. Add in owners who forget to top off, and you have the perfect setup for expensive wear that did not have to happen if the oil matched the driving style. That is the real cost. Today, let me tell you why 5W30 wins the long game. 5W30 works because it builds a stronger film at operating temperature, so bearings, cam lobes, and turbo shafts stay separated even when the oil has been hot for a long drive. That thicker film is what keeps older engines reliable instead of slowly adding up microwear that turns into chain rattle and low compression. Because it is less volatile than the really skinny stuff, it does not boil off as fast, so you do fewer top-offs, you blow less oil vapor through the intake, and you make less carbon that later clogs EGR or catalytic parts. It also lines up with what turbo makers and real performance engine builders keep saying. A 30 weight under heat is safer than a 20 weight when you spin hard or tow uphill. Most US driving is mixed. Some highway, plenty of stoplights, summer heat, maybe a weekend trailer. And 5W30 just handles that mix without getting tired. Yes, you might give up a tiny bit of miles per gallon compared to 0W20, but you buy longer engine life, which is worth way more than 1 mpg on paper. That is why we tell long-term owners to shift up to 5W30 once the miles climb and the climate stays warm, because it tracks what the 50 engine data showed. Thicker oil wore slower. Cold climate drivers who still push their cars or tow sometimes do not have to give up cold starts though. We still have a third option coming. And the best part for long-term owners is this. Parts availability, shop pricing, and oil shelves in every US town are built around 5W30, so it is cheaper to maintain and simple to find even on road trips. That makes real, reliable mileage actually possible for normal drivers. Turbos, hybrids, and high heat traffic. This is where thin oil really gets exposed because turbos and hybrids and clogged city traffic all torture oil in different but equally painful ways. A turbocharger spins crazy fast and is cooled by engine oil, so when you feed it 0 watts 20 and then take a long, hot drive, that oil can shear down towards 16 or 18 weight in only a few thousand miles. Once it is that thin, the bearing inside the turbo is not getting the same safety cushion, and that is how people end up with early turbo wear, even though they used synthetic. Hybrids look gentle, but they drop oil pressure over and over every time the engine shuts off, and thin oil plus repeated low-pressure events means the top end rubs more than it should. Now add real city driving, zero airflow, heat soak, stoplights, fans running, and the sump stays hot, so a thicker 5W30 is simply better at staying in grade. Hot state engine and transmission shops already tell customers to step up viscosity after the warranty years because they keep seeing burned fluid and noisy chains on cars that live in traffic. So if you are in Phoenix, Houston, Vegas, Miami, or any place that cooks pavement, 5W30 full synthetic is the reliable pick, not the brochure pick. Join our community. We keep cars reliable, not expensive, and we call out the maintenance habits that shorten engine life for no reason. And if you still want 0W cold starts, there is a 0W30 option that engineers actually trust for cold regions. The engineer middle ground, 0W30. Some of you want the reliable hot protection of a 30 weight, but also want winter cranking to stay simple. And 0W30 is how engineers split that. It pours like 0W20 on a cold morning, so the top end still gets fed fast. But once the engine is at temperature, it sits in the same thicker zone as 5W30. That makes it perfect for drivers in mixed US climates who see freezing mornings in winter and then 80-degree highway runs in summer, because the oil is never too thin or too heavy to move. A lot of European long-life specs lean on 0 watts 30 for exactly that reason. It can handle longer intervals, higher sustained speeds, and still give durability without wrecking fuel numbers. You give up a tiny bit of miles per gallon compared to 0W20, but you gain real high temperature protection, which is what actually keeps engines cleaned past 200,000 miles. So if you like the idea of cold flow, but you know you drive harder than the brochure says, 0W30 is the balanced, smart choice. Match viscosity to climate, mileage, and load, and your engine will stay reliable far longer than the dealer planned for you. Now let's make picking oil simple. Real-world oil picker. Ignore the cap win. If your car is still under warranty, under 60,000 miles, and you live where winters stay below freezing, keep running 0W20 because cold starts you need fast oil, and the manufacturer will expect that grade. When the odometer moves past 80 to 100,000, or you live in a hot state, or you tow, or the engine is a small turbo that cooks oil, switch to 5W30 full synthetic so the film stays thicker and parts stay reliable. If you are in a colder climate but you actually drive hard, long highway pulls, mountain roads, loaded roof box, run 0W30 because it cranks like 0W but protects like 30 weight once hot. Whatever you choose, make sure the jug shows the right API and ILSAC approvals, because that means the additive package matches modern engines. This whole plan falls apart if a shop pours mystery bulk oil that was meant for a short 3,000-mile service. Do not let lazy shops decide for you today. Shop proofing and DIY. To keep this oil plan reliable, bring your own jug and your own filter, because some quick lube places bill for synthetic and pour cheaper bulk that was never made for longer intervals. A big box store will sell you a good full synthetic and a decent filter for around $25 to $35. But the same job at a chain shop shows up as $80 to $120 because labor and mystery oil get stacked. We have cut open collapsed cheap filters after extended service, and the media was torn, so all that nice synthetic was circulating dirt back through tight tolerance engines. Spending $8 to $12 more for a real filter is cheaper than cam and chain repairs. Like what you're hearing. Like and hype it. That helps us beat the bad info and keep making garage first breakdowns. Click the next video, then hit subscribe so you stay ahead of upsells and keep your car reliable to 300,000 miles with maintenance that makes sense for real US traffic and heat, not just lab tests. Watch next.